And hello everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 6 of the Rock Druid. My name is John Wisby. Some people call me the Rock Druid, other people call me other things, but I don't want to say that about them because they're rather rude. Anyway, I'm a radio DJ. I present a couple of radio shows. First up, there's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM radio, 93.2 FM in Bristol in the UK. And then there's the Rock Druid show on the internet station and an astronomy and music station, astroradio.earth. I'll put links to both of them down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. It might be there. I think it's there. Anyway, so if you want to check them out. And basically, this kind of little vlog is just me going through my record collection, dragging out some random albums and CDs, and talking about them for a little bit. So without further ado, we shall kick off with a bit of prog rock, and it's this one. Yeah, get that lined up with the camera there. There's the front. There is the back. I've already checked, there's no inner sleeve or inlay card or insert sheet with this one. Yeah, the Enid, Something Wicked This Way Comes from... I've got my glasses. Let's have a quick look so I can read the cover. My eyesight's going, you know. When was this one? It doesn't actually say anywhere. I think it's around about 1982, 1983, maybe wrong. But anyway, the Enid, big kind of prog rock band, heavily influenced by like classical kind of music, influenced most of all. Most of their stuff sounds very orchestral. Founded by Robert John Godfrey, who was ex-member of Barclay James Harvest, if I want to say right, at one point. By the time they did this album, they're down to a kind of two-piece with him and the guitarist Stephen Stewart and Chris North on drums, and these had a bass player that used to go with them live. Anyway, they started out in formed in about 1976, 77. And for the first 5 or 6 albums, they were purely instrumental. Very, very kind of, that's sort of orchestral. It sounds like listening to an orchestra in places, some of their stuff. But then, when this album came out, I said about 83, I think, they actually started to sing and write songs. And overall, so I wish I could play you some snippets of these albums, but as I said, algorithms on YouTube and Facebook means I can't really, unless I want copyright strikes, etc. But anyway, this album's pretty damn good. Now, I know the Enid aren't everybody's cup of tea for various reasons, but regardless, I just like this album. The two standout tracks on this are probably And Then There Were None and the title track, Something Wicked This Way Comes. Although there's the wonderfully kind of light and ethereal Jessica, Song for Europe, Brightest Star, a couple of great instrumental tracks. And overall, it's just a kind of great album. Got some nice, it's almost like a concept work, as you can probably tell with the Enid Blyton type cover, which goes from 3 kids to 2 kids to 1 kid to 0 kids. It's got overwhelming kind of sort of hints of nuclear destruction. You know, those of you that arrive in the early 1980s will know kind of, Cold War, nuclear paranoia was a very real thing. Some days you woke up not knowing whether we'd blown to bits the next day because of Reagan or some mad Russian pressing buttons. But anyway, it reflects the time quite adequately, immaculately played, and the Enid aren't the most accessible of bands, full stop. This is a fairly accessible album, so if you're Enid curious, Something Wicked This Way Comes, 1982, 1983, somewhere around there. Okay, next up we'll have a CD, and there is the front. There is the back, and it's Fight for Nothing, Fall for Everything by Bristol alternative rockers, the Dead Romantics. Now, this is their 2016 EP. There's one before this, and I think they've done one more recently. As far as I'm aware, the band is still going. But anyway, Dead Romantics. Now, this isn't the. So this one came out. The right ones are at random, so it's not their first album. Their first EP contains a track called We Are the Walking Dead, which is one of my all-time favourite songs. Although this one is quite good as well. Hints of Biffy Clyro, but it's also got hints of I say bands like Five Finger Death Punch and the kind of more contemporary metal stuff, although it's still firmly rooted in traditional English alternative rock. It's only a 4-tracker EP, this one. Fight for Nothing, Take Me Under, Pills, 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 which is a great track about anti-depression culture and doctors firing pills at people with depression rather than helping them tackle the problem with like counselling and other forms of therapy. And then Vanity, which is a built-in little ditty. Now, not much more to say about this. They're just kind of, they're tight, they're together. There is something in this sleeve, I just remembered. Oh, it's a sticker. I forgot they included a sticker with this one, so there's the sticker there. Yeah, just a really good band. I know their stuff was available through Bandcamp, I think it still is, so yeah, highly recommended. So they're out of Bristol, highly recommended that you check them out, and once lockdown's over and they're back to gigging, go see them live. Okay, next up we'll have some new wave of British heavy metal. And we'll have this one. Yeah, this is Witchfinder General's Death Penalty from, when was this one come out? Um, 1982. That's right. Now, I think this was their first full-lengther. Although there are a couple of singles, like there's a single called Rabies, if I remember rightly, before this. And then they went on to do a follow-up called Friends of Hell. Or maybe Friends of Hell is the first one and this is the follow-up. I don't know, I can't remember. It's been a long time. Anyway, this album from, I think, Derby based, Nottingham based, somewhere in the Midlands, I think. Although this is where someone's going to kind of put a comment down below saying they're actually Geordies. I can't remember. Yeah, it's a long time back, and I've had this album since it came out. But anyway, yeah, just they're kind of one of the more interesting of the new wave of British heavy metalers. It's taken a look at the cover. They were a band that courted controversy over their first couple of albums by having kind of naked, sort of semi-topless pastry models laying on gravestones and being kind of threatened as playing the witch, being threatened by kind of the band themselves being the Witchfinders. Yeah, musically this is kind of I don't know, it's almost like proto-doom. It's not kind of slow and grindy like a lot of them contemporary doom bands are, but it's got that kind of sludgy, slower tempo kind of metal, you know, that kind of, you know, gave birth to doom metal. There's some great tracks on here. The Death Penalty itself, great song. Invisible Country, Invisible Hate, Free Country. So, Burning the Sinner, one of my favourite Witchfinder General covers, if not my favourite Witchfinder General number. So, yeah, overall it's well played. The production's pretty damn good, and yeah, it's just a worthy addition to the collection of any people that love the new wave of British heavy metal or are NWOBHM curious. Good stuff. Yeah, Witchfinder General, death penalty. Next up, we'll have this one, and it's Desert Queen by Duskwood. Carrying on in the kind of doomy metal vein here. There's the front. If I can get it angled against me, so it's very dark, this one. You may not be able to see it, but there, if I chip it back a little bit like that, you can see there's a lady on the front. And then there's the back. Got the track listing. Open up the gatefold. No, there are no cards or anything. It's just thus the disc on there. Anything behind the disc? No, there's no sort of behind the disc artwork. Just the kind of list of the guys and where it was recorded at Amped Studios in Somerset. Now this lot, as I said, we carried on the kind of slightly doomy vein. This lot from the town of Yeovil down in Somerset, and these are a cracking band. I mean, I first came across this again with Alien Stashed In. We ended up on the same bill of them over at a place called the Firefly over in Pontypool in Wales. We dig them, they quite liked us, and we've been mates ever since. And periodically we go down and gig with these in Yeovil, or they come up and play with us in Bristol. Although they've been doing quite well for themselves recently. They had an album out last year, titled The Which Escapes Me. They've actually kind of started selling quite well, and they've recently kind of extended their gigging radius over beyond the West Country, sort of getting around most of the UK. So definitely a band on the up. Now, with tracks like Church of Misery, Chariot, Hazy Eye, Crone, Desert Queen, The Stoner Cat coming to, it's just a kind of, just really good kind of heavy, quite doomy, stonery metal album. Immaculately played. The performances on this are pretty damn good. Liam Tinsley, the vocalist, distinctive voice. There's the two guitarists, Lawrence Newbury, Greg Watts, a couple of great six stringers, and then Aaron Tinsley, and I think it's a brother of Liam, maybe wrong, and then Jack Godber on drums. Rhythm section as puckered as the duck's anus, and yes, it's really good stuff. Yeah, if you get a chance to go see them live, do so, but if not, all their stuff's available at various outlets online. Go purchase, you may not regret. Next up, we have another piece of new wave of British heavy metal. Oh, now this one's got inserts and pullouts and that kind of thing. Well, first of all, there's the front. This is Vices by Waysted. There's the front. There's the back. If I reach in here, first of all we have an inner sleeve, there, and there, and not only that, with this one, if you notice it says free poster, and here is the poster. A big poster of Waysted. Should you ever want a picture of Waysted upon your wall? I never have done, so therefore the poster's never been used. And yeah, not that I've got anything against Waysted, but you know, yeah, I'm not really a band, a poster on the wall type guy. I've got gig posters and that kind of thing rather than band pictures. But anyway, now Waysted, if you don't know, were a kind of well, they were they were a UFO spin-off band. When kind of Pete Way, the bass player, left UFO, he briefly formed Fastway with Eddie Clark, although I think he only ever played on a couple of singles and did a little bit of session work for the first album before going off separately, because by this point, and we're talking 1983, UFO are kind of beginning to fall apart. One of these bands periodically they actually have their line-up in existential crisis, and then Phil Mogg will pull a new line-up together. Anyway, UFO would begin to fall apart, and keyboard player, rhythm guitarist Paul Raymond was available. Good mate of Pete Ways. They decided to put a new band together. Called themselves Waysted, and lo and behold, Waysted were born. I think this is their debut album. Again, my memory on this is a bit sketchy, and I'm doing this from memory without notes, so maybe a bit wrong. Correct me if I am. But basically, now something I just noticed here, I've never noticed before, I'll come to in a minute. Ronnie Crayfield on lead guitar, a guy called Finn on vocals, Frank Noon on drums. And if you look there, that's the symbol of a band called Wolf. And again, another new wave of British heavy metal band. Got an album by them and a couple of singles. Now, I can't remember who was in Wolf. Is that hat tip to members of Wolf showing up in Waysted? Or am I just kind of on a complete red herring? I don't know. But anyway, as an album, this is pretty good. The standout on track of this is the rather politically incorrect track now, Women in Chains. Not because the lyrics say that has a kind of male dom BDSM kind of vibe to it, but just the fact it's got this kind of fantastic kind of pounding, almost tribal rhythm backing it up. It's just got it's a drum-led song that's a bit of a great one. But there's some other great tracks on here. Toy with the Passion, Hot Love, some All Belongs to You, Sleazy, Night of the Wolf. They're all pretty good tracks. The UFO influence is very strong in this one, Young Skywalker, but it's not. Like I said, it manages to keep its head above being like generic of the genre. So Waysted carried on, did a few more albums after this. Sadly, in my opinion, each one not being quite as good as the predecessor. Although, you know, all of them had their merits. But anyway, if you've never heard of Waysted, go check them out, and this is the place to start. Vices, 1983. Next up, we're going to go back to Bristol, and we're having this one. There's the front. There's not much writing on the front. Is there? There's the back with all the writing. Again, I'll hold all these up for a second or so you can hit pause and read should you want to. And oh yeah, this is The Emperor of Everything EP by Franklin Mint. And if you there we are, and this is the inlay card. There's the band themselves. No, it's not. It's a picture. I think I've got a picture of the band themselves in here. There's lyrics and that. No, no band picture or anything, unfortunate. Anyway, yeah, Bristol metal band. Interesting kind of outfit. They've been around on the local... Get in there, you scum. Yeah, been around on the local scene in Bristol for a while. There we go. Yeah, been around the Bristol scene for a while. Although they'd kind of been avoiding my radar other than the name until I went to see God, who was it? Evil Scarecrow, maybe, I think it might have been, a couple of years back. I actually got to see these guys live. I thought, wow, that's impressive. Got chatting to them, got the EP, and yeah, been a bit of a fan ever since. Seen them live a couple of times, and these are metal. It's kind of fairly modern metal, but still kind of got a bit of an old metal twist, if that makes sense. I'm trying to kind of, again, this stuff, it's hard to kind of describe some of this music without actually playing some, but anyway, metal, very good at it, and sort of like only 3 tracks on here: Emperor Everything, Black Ribbon, Vapor Trails, everyone's a bit of a cracker. They did a full-length album about 2 years ago, and the band are still very much alive and kicking. Stashed In should have been on the same bill as them during the summer, but we had to pull out of that through lockdown, but it will happen. It will be rescheduled. But anyway, yeah, not much else to say about this really. Their stuff is available online. Franklin Mint, the Emperor of Everything EP. Go check them out, get their new album as well. Okay, we're going to stick to the CDs, and we'll have this gem. Yeah. The Groundhogs. Who will save the world? There's the front. There's the back. Now, as you can probably see, this is a CD issue of the Groundhogs 1970 something album, 72 album. And the original came with a poster booklet gatefold comic sleeve drawn by who was it? Yeah, Neil Adams, who was one of the Marvel, was it DC comics? Anyway, some famous American comic artist, they managed to persuade him to do the artwork. There's loads of stuff there. Again, I'll pause it if you want to actually read the comic. Actually, it starts there, carries on across there, and ends up there. Now, the Groundhogs, they are probably the seminal progressive blues band out of Britain. Three-piece, I saw his signed there by Ken Pushtornick, the drummer, who I'll come to in a minute. One of the seminal, if not the seminal British kind of sort of blues, blues rock, prog rock bands, founded originally in the early 60s, came to prominence as a pickup band originally for John Lee Hooker, the American blues legend, although they also kind of acted as a pickup band playing blues along with other various US touring blues musicians. So these guys learned their craft playing with some of the best. By 1968 they decided to do their own thing. Then we had the Groundhogs, you had Blues Obituary, then Thank Christ for the Bomb, and then this, their fourth album. And by this point the band had reached their stride. I think they actually really kind of hit their peak form with the follow-up album to this Split. I have to think about that for a second. But anyway, this is kind of just a great kind of blend of kind of heavy blues, heavy rock, almost like Sabbathy in places, but kind of with big hints of prog rock and psychedelia thrown in. Every track on this is a classic, from Bog Roll Blues, which is, as it says, it's about kind of, I think Tony McPhee was on the toilet, Tony McPhee being the guitarist, on the toilet one day, and he started writing his lyrics on a bog roll, and etc. The earth is not enough, music is food of thought, body and mind, wages of peace, death of the sun, the grey maze, amazing grace. Yes, every track's a classic. Now, I'm proud to say that over the years I've got to know Ken Pushtornick, the drummer on this, quite well, and lovely bloke. And although kind of for various reasons, both Pete Cruikshank, the bass player, Tony McPhee, they're kind of getting a bit too elderly now to kind of keep the band going. Ken Pushtornick, aged Lord knows however, I think this guy is on Monkey Glands and Cliff Richard's serum to keep him young, has a band called Ken Pushtornick's Groundhogs, who are got the spirit of the original Groundhogs together, and they just rock, and they're still live. I saw them live just before the lockdown cut in, playing with Stray, and a great band. But anyway, if you haven't heard the Groundhogs, please do get into them. This is as good a place to start as any. And but yeah, the Groundhogs, they're one of the more obscure British bands from the 70s that deserve to be huge. So give them love, give them support. And if you haven't heard from them before, I mean, even Kurt Cobain from Nirvana used to worship the Groundhogs. So all you young grungers out there, yeah, hit us up kind of yeah, yeah, kind of point you in the right direction. Anyway, Groundhogs, not thank Christ to the bomb. Who will save the mighty Groundhogs? Who will save the world? Get it? That's an order. Okay, next up, we'll have a bit more vinyl, and we shall have this one. There's the front. It is the eponymous debut album by Welsh rockers Tredegar. There's the back, nice live shot. Open up the inner sleeve. There's all the lyrics. There's the album credits and some pictures. And as much as I love these guys, and I've got to know these guys personally, yeah, Mr. McPhee, crimes against fashion maybe for you, but yeah, I'll let you off because you're a nice guy. Anyway, as you can see, signed by a couple of the guys. Now, Tredegar, formed by, I'll open it up again for you. And no, there's no inner sleeve on here, so formed by that guy. Ray Phillips, the original drummer from the Welsh rock legends of Buzzin, along with so that guy, the fashion crime guy, Tony McPhee, the not Tony McPhee, what about wrong guitarist, Tony Balls. Two Tonys as guitar in separate consecutive bands confuddles the old brain, you know. Anyway, yeah, Tony Balls, the original Buzzin guitarist. So two of the founder members of Buzzin in this band, joined by was it Russ North on vocals, Andy Wood on guitar, both of which now I can't remember whether it was Cloven Hoof before Tredegar or Tredegar then Cloven Hoof. I think they went on to the reformed Cloven Hoof after Tredegar. And I can't think of, just for completeness, Tom Prince, the bass player, who, I don't know, Welsh band Cougar maybe? I may be wrong, but anyway. Yeah, 1986, this was the only album they released. They did do a Berkshire produced single that I don't think ever got released, not until fairly recently. But anyway, they're kind of metal. They're kind of classic hard rock a la Buzzin. They are just very, very good. Shame this became the one and only album. Yeah, the production's not brilliant. It's a bit clunky. But that's... yeah, so the production's a bit clunky, but hey, you know, they're kind of finding their feet, and it was done as a kind of low budget recording. Apparently the band told me when this came out that most of the budget producing the album went on the gold leaf for the first 500 were pressed with gold leaf, and the others just had a gold coloured sleeve. Anyway, this lot, the kind of, I said, metal kind of, you imagine Iron Maiden meets Buzzin, that's the best way of describing. Lots of that kind of galloping bass lines, and you know, songs like Juma, which is about the Russian Parliament under the Tsar, The Alchemist, which speaks for itself, Way of the Warrior, which is all about ninjas, Richard I and Battle of Bosworth, make a little kind of double header about, you know, Wars of the Roses, The Jester, Which Way to Go, Wheels, great motorbiking song. Yeah, he's got nothing kind of astounding, but they're overall quite good songwriting. Lyrics are interesting. I won't say they're brilliant, but they're better than anything Steve Harris from Maiden's ever produced. And it's very enjoyable. Now, I've got to see these guys live quite a few times. They used to seem to play in Bristol nearly every other week. And consequences often happens with fans and bands. You get to know them, and to the point where you can sort of... They used to have this kind of old converted coach with kind of sofas and armchairs screwed to the floor as kind of as a kind of crew bus type thing. And yeah, I've joined them on there I've joined them on the crew bus for a bit. And yeah, really nice bunch of guys. Ray Phillips and Tony Balls especially were angels. And the others guys are all pretty nice as well. Anyway, line-up problems, and I don't know exactly what happened, but the band fell apart about sort of 3 or 4 years after this album came out. Ray Phillips has got his own version of budgie together again now, called the 6-ton budgie, and was it Ray Phillips's budgie? One of the two. But anyway, the rest of them don't know where they are, if they're still playing. Like I said, a couple of the guys went on to the reformed Cloven Hoof. Beyond there, I don't know. But anyway, again, one that may need a bit of effort tracking down, but one that's worth it if you do. Okay, next up, more metal and another Bristol band. I have lots of, being Bristol based, go to lots of gigs in Bristol and doing a radio show that has a bit of a remit focusing on Bristol music. Not all Bristol stuff, hasten to add, it's just I like to showcase the Bristol talent on the Bristol rock and punk scenes and that. Lots of Bristol music on the show. Anyway, so consequently, my record collection is packaged with Bristol music. Large percentage, well, I'll say it's about 5-10% Bristol music. Yeah, give a name, but anyway, I digress. Neuromatic 55. Now, those of you that were watching the other week, no, we didn't do. No, sorry, forget me. That was one of the albums that didn't make the cut for the other week ago. I've been put back for another edition of the show, but yeah, there's the front. This is Neuromatic. The album's 55, by the way. There's the back. Not fantastic, isn't it? Just a quite low budget, cheap thing. This is a mini album, maxi EP, whatever you want to call it, a 6-tracker. Basically, vocalist is a lovely lady called Kate Norris, former Control the Storm singer, and yeah, don't know exactly where the rest of them are from, but I do know Kiss Boyd, the keyboard player, is a brain surgeon, or a heart surgeon. Something to do with surgery anyway, and I know he's been very busy over the lockdown period doing the NHS hero stuff. But anyway, this lot, they're kind of alternative metal, but again they've got a big prog rock streak running through them, and yeah, kind of just interesting. That's the only way I can really describe it. Tracks like, I'll give you the track listing: Succubus, Catatonia, Alice D, which is a cracking track, Absent, Sayonara, my favourite cut off the album, and 55 itself. It kind of takes you on a bit of a roller coaster. Some bits it's kind of almost verging on thrash metal heavy. On the other hand, it's kind of heading very much into prog rock places in places. Just an interesting blend. Available online, and these guys again had to call Taylor Tour when lockdown came in, which they intend to pick up afterwards. So the chances are you might be seeing them in your town in the UK at some point over the next year. So if you do, go see them, because they are live. They're very impressive as well. And pick yourself up a copy of this, or just go online and get yourself a copy, because it's worth it. Yeah, 55 by Neuromatic. Oh yeah, that was also finished quite well in our album at the BCFM Sunday Rock Show's the album of the year award kind of thing, which is impressive considering like it was, you know, the people it was up against. Okay, time for a bit of punk, and here we go. Again, another Bristol band. There's the front. There's the back, and in here somewhere there's a one sheet home photocopied lyric sheet and just a few sleeve notes. Now, Herb Garden one of actually, let me grab an apple of coffee a minute. I want to tell you a story about a short-lived music scene. Now, if you don't know Bristol, there's an area in Bristol called Redland. Large kind of Victorian kind of townhouses that by the mid-1980s had seen better days. A lot of these big Victorian sort of 3 or 4 store houses have been converted into sort of student and quite low rent flats, and it became the kind of centre for a while of Bristol's alternative scene. the whole place was full of punks and hippies and artists and wannabe filmmakers, etc. Lots of bands around in that around that period. The most prominent were probably a band called the Startled Insects, who probably better known now as the Insects, a kind of sort of psychedelic prog kind of experimental electronica sort of stuff. But most of the bands around that period were playing what sort of acid punk. It was like punk, but with big sort of influences of bands like Hawkwind and that thrown in. A couple of the bands one of the bands that did quite well for itself off that scene was the Claytown Troupe, but it got a major label deal, etc., which immediately made them sellouts. Only joking. They were actually really nice guys even after they sold out. Didn't really sell out, but anyway. But you know, none of the big successes. However, a couple of the other bands like the All Night Chemists and was it the White Hot Helmets and Herb Garden here went on to achieve kind of a bit of a kind of cult status kind of thing. Herb Garden, kind of punky thrash metal with added psychedelic bits. 5-piece. Trying to think. This was their debut EP, 1989. I can't think there are some of the other stuff. HMS Disaster, Organic Jihad, Smoke the Telly EP. They went on and did a few things after this. They toured Europe and you know, were kind of doing quite well for themselves, but then they kind of fell apart. A couple of the guys turned up in a band called the Sons of Muttley a couple of years later. But anyway, Herb Garden, they were really nice guys. Because we were all off the same scene. I was in a band called Beowulf UK at the time. We supported them a few times because they were the bigger band. They took the headline slots, but those kind of bills weren't really about who was going on first. It was just about playing with your mates. There was a pub called the Kensington Gardens, Kensington and the Kingsdown Vaults, the two pubs. The bands used to hang out in. You'll meet up with them in there and drink beer and get pissed and play silly games, go to each other's parties, etc. Overall, just a great time to be alive. We were fighting the poll tax and Thatcher's Britain as well. You know, there was a thing called Scumbusters where we used to you thought you had the poll tax bailiffs coming around. You'd be violent. You would just arrange for about 30 people to turn up and they'd physically block your garden path so the bailiffs couldn't get to you. But anyway, Herb Garden, this is the debut album. The artwork, by the way, was done by a guy called Nick Hammer, who, as a little aside, again, I got to know him, me and him conceived the idea of this kind of comic book idea, kind of post-apocalyptic time-travelling, kind of order against chaos kind of thing. And, you know, we came up with these characters, we came up with a plot line. I wrote the scripts, but in the time it took me to write the script for 3 or 4 episodes, he did one frame. He was a bit of a perfectionist and kind of kept reworking, so we realised that it wasn't going to work. But anyway, fantastic artist, did all the Herb Garden stuff. And yeah, now this album, 25-tracker, Bulldozer Jones, Red Van, a Convicted Man, Sunburn, and a live version of the Ice Cream Man recorded at the Western Star Domino Club, which was, I mentioned that the other week. It was a kind of domino club run by the local Afro-Caribbean community where old guys used to play dominoes, and that was weird because you'll get, they used to have punk bands in there as well as reggae bands, etc., but you'll get a lot of punk bands playing there. And at one end of the room, you'll get bands like the Herb Garden and the Pigs, I mentioned recently, kind of giving it rice, 900 miles an hour. And then at the other end of the room, you'll get a load of these old Jamaican guys sitting around doing the old slam down dominoes. It was just a great atmosphere, and both crowds got on really well. Anyway, yeah, this was their debut EP. Long been out of print. Although I think they may have done a digital reissue more recently because the band have recently reformed. They did a couple of one-off reformation gigs, and they were supposed to be doing a lot more gigs this summer. Lockdowns put pace to that, of course. But yeah, look out for them on the way back, and you know, they're just a great band. Always good fun live, and yeah, go if you're into kind of more obscure punk, especially the kind of slightly acidic twinge. Yeah, go get it because it's pretty good. Herb Garden, just the eponymous Herb Garden EP. Okay, we're going to go completely psychedelic now with this one. This is the Pillbugs, a buzz for Aldrin. There's the front. There's the back. Fairly hefty inlay card. And I will point out, if I can get it to open up, this is a 2-disc set. And yeah, booklet with some really nice artwork. Again, no banned pictures, just some nice artwork. Very reminiscent of the work of Alan Bean at the space painting photographer, space painting astronaut, sorry, that sadly passed away the other year. But anyway, this lot now, I think this lot were from Florida. And as far as I'm aware, they're still going, although this is the only album I actually possessed by them at the moment. This is 2007's, like I said, A Buzz for Aldrin. Very kind of classic site, kind of like, you know, Pink Floyd, round about those first 2 albums. Kind of early UFO maybe, I mean really early UFO. You know, Man, Pink Fairies type stuff. It's in that kind of general ballpark, although with a kind of, you know, sort of American twist, you know, Spirit, etc. It's a double album set. Pretty, overall, it's pretty good kind of consistency in tracks. There's 4 seconds, 4-second Nightmare and a 5-second Dream, Buzz for Aldrin. I'm just picking out some of the songs that I remember as being pretty good. King of Zorg, Make Like Arthur Lee, Walk Along the Edge of the Sky, Lost Lonely Sailor, Shiz in Style. Yeah, there's 24 tracks on this. Everyone's pretty damn good, and yeah, pretty damn psychedelic. So Buzz for Aldrin by the Pillbugs, well worth sort of adding to your collection if you like it a bit trippy and hippie. And finally, we're going to go for this one, a pop prog classic, prog rock, stadium rock, pop rock, however you want to call it. Basically it's Asia supergroup, if you don't know. Jeff Downes on keyboards, ex Buggles, and Yes, Steve Howe, ex Yes, on guitars, Carl Palmer, ex Emerson Lake and Palmer, and Atomic Rooster on drums, John Wetton, ex just about everybody from UK to Wishbone Ash, on bass, and King Crimson, etc. And yeah, overall making some really good, accessible, kind of hard-edged poppy prog rock. This is their second album. The first one is the famous one with the sea serpent trying to bite the sun. Of course, it's Roger brain fade. Roger Dean. I might have to think about that for a bit. Of course, it's Roger Dean. There could only be Roger Dean. It doesn't even look like Rodney Matthews. Roger Dean artwork. It's quite a successful album overall. Don't Cry, Smiles Left Your Eyes, Never in a Million Years, The Heart Goes On, True Colours, Midnight Sun, Eye to Eye, I'm the Last to Know. A lot of stuff that kind of carried on with in Asia's live set right up until, well, fairly recently, when are Asia still going post John Wetton? I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, stuff they played live for ages. Stuff that was, some of these tracks were like Don't Cry and In My Own Time were big US singles. Lesser so in Britain, but the album was, I think, top 10 in the UK. Yeah, so there's the front. Have I got an inner sleeve in this one? No. Although, having said that, if I pull this out, it's got an inner sheet. Come on. Yeah. Pictures of Asia. Yeah. And just a lyric sheet there. Yeah. Overall, not much really else to say about this one. It's just it's a good album. It's accessible. It is quite commercial, but not in a negative way. It's accessible. It's got some great lyrics on here. I mean, The Last to Know is probably, yeah, there are a couple of other Asia tracks I rate as highly, but Last to Know is one of my favourite Asia numbers. The performances on here is great. John Wetton's vocals are spine tingling. Yeah, Steve Howe's guitar work, it's not particularly over the top and flash, but it does the job what it does. I'm not saying that Howe isn't capable of flash guitar, and it's just that he doesn't need to on here. And one of the things I've always liked about Steve Howe as a guitarist, he's always played to the song, not played to himself like other guitarists I could mention do. But anyway, overall, highly recommended, and go get it if you haven't got it already. Asia. And the album's Alpha, if I didn't think I mentioned that already. But anyway, Alpha by Asia. Pretty good album, well worth checking out. So that's this week's Druid Dozen. Again, link if you're on YouTube, links to the shows are down there, and if you're on Facebook, links to the shows should be over there. Maybe there, but probably there. I don't know the way this camera thing mine works. But anyway, yeah, be good to yourself. Remember, if you like what you hear, go check out leave a comment and give it a like. It helps kind of people discover this, and I'm not doing it for money. If you notice, this channel isn't monetised. I'm not doing it for money. I'm just doing it to kill a bit of time when I've got some Saturday afternoons free, and to share my love of the music. So yeah, so likes and comments help kind of spread the word. So do so if you feel like it. No obligation, of course. And I'll be back next week with 6 more. So until next week, peeps, stay safe, and I love yous. Bye.